Here we are.
Here we are.
Hey, everybody.
Evening, everybody. From the frozen tundra that is Western New York. Quick weather recap. It's 0 degrees here with a minus 22 wind chill.
And it's 12 degrees here.
So it's coming your way, bud.
Yes, that's what I'm told.
If I can bring this up. Let me go here.
Coming your way, bud.
Yep, look at that. There we go. We're live. We already got some people on. That's great.
Oh, who's on?
We have Knights of Old. Hello. Look at this. I'm going to get fancy tonight. DS Comics.
Ah, yes.
Captain Crunch. Yeah, all the cool kids are here. You're right. Here, oh my goodness. Usual suspects. I thought John would get my veiled attempt to mention him in the description, in the promo. There's Gorilla Todd. Hey.
Hey.
Actually, everyone's checking in. It's a good time since John just popped in. Tonight's unofficial sponsor is going to be Genesee Cream Ale. Oh, John, I bet your mouth's watering.
Well, he's got one probably right next to him.
Yeah, I bet he does. So,
yes.
Other than the weather, what have you done this week?
Well, I made a couple of purchases, a couple of upgrades. I've been selling some stuff because I want to just move some stuff out of the collection. Bottoms up. But other than that, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot going on. Not a whole lot I'm doing. I know my next comic book haul is coming out on Saturday. Oh. And I was very happy to see the positive response that some people gave me with my last video. It was like one of those conversational videos, what got you back into collecting. So I like doing videos like that, believe it or not.
It got my brain percolating when I watched your video.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
I actually like doing videos like that. Just discussing.
Mm-hmm.
But ideas sometimes are not as fertile as showing books,
Yeah. What's weird is sometimes I watch other videos, and that's where I get a lot of ideas for things. Dr. Von Chilla, John had two on right before this came on. I watched both of them, where he just was walking around his town, and his town just has a very storybook look to it. And one of the stories was unfortunate, but the other one was kind of funny about an old nightclub that burned down, and just get you thinking of ideas. I think when the weather breaks, I do want to do. I think I'm going to do an on-location video of the actual book, from the 70s, and I'll show exactly where I bought it from. Most of the cases, it won't be the same place anymore, but I think that'd be a fun video for everyone to see. Maybe
I should do something like that. But
there you go. Maybe I'll make a tag. I'll tag some people.
Please don't. Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of those as of late, or at least in the videos that I've been watching.
Yeah, there's a ton of contests. So I looked on Metarog is kind of taking that over for Silver Age Dave, and his board it must be some kind of super strong cardboard to not fall over. He's got so many Post-it notes on it. We got some more joiners here. I see Christopher Joy. Hello. Eugene T. Or I think that is. Sorry for my poor vision. Oh, Knight says, are you playing Resident Evil 2?
Oh, yes. I love it. But I have to start it all over again because I'm out of ammunition. I have very little health, and the Nemesis is following me. So I'm kind of running from one storeroom to the next. I said, you know what? Maybe I should just play on easy.
Yeah. Maybe I'm not the veteran. You have no property, and you just keep going around landing on everyone else's property.
I'm not. Yeah, I know. That's where I'm at.
There's no way you're going to win. You're just kind of playing out the hand.
Yeah, I'm not the gamer in Resident Evil that I thought I was. It's been 21 years since I bought the original, and now I really have to. I like what they did with it, though. They kept it very faithful to the original, but added a couple of new things to keep it fresh.
Well, wait a minute. There's only been 2 of those? Hasn't there been like 10 movies?
No. They remade Resident Evil 2, which is widely considered probably the most popular. They remade it just as they remade the first one several years ago. Mm-hmm. And, they remade the second one, and they did a really good job with it. A very good job with it. Updating the controls and the look. There was a couple of moments where I was really nervous playing it, and
the sound quality's going to be much better.
Oh, it is. When you hear the Nemesis, I don't know how far you get. You hear him stomping outside. You know not to go outside the door. Who the hell's calling me?
Don't they know this?
Can I just take this call? New Brunswick. I don't know you.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a real call.
Yeah, I know, right? I've been getting calls from Zamunda or whatever the hell it is.
Oh, you should answer that one.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure it's the prince and he wants you to help with his inheritance.
Yeah.
So, everybody, thanks for joining us. We're trying to keep this going. We're trying to change things up, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
I think some of you in the comments and messages I've gotten have noticed that we haven't been talking a lot about value and the market.
Yes.
Part of that is because Anthony and I aren't as into that. Nick is very into the numbers and much more knowledgeable on that than I am, and I think Anthony as well. So we just kind of stick with what we know. But I have noticed a little bit of the market. I watched DS Comics market recap that he did on I think it was Comic Connect auction that ended or is ending, and I don't want to be calling the top because I know if Nick is watching this, he'll jump up out of his chair and scream at the screen. But it does feel like
probably already has
the market's softening to me.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. And overall maybe not, but the upper keys seem like they are softening a little bit. They're still up there. They just don't seem like they're skyrocketing as much.
They're not exploding as they were. I mean, I think the rocket went up and maybe just settling a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, but who knows when the rocket might go up again?
Yeah.
You just don't know.
JLS has joined us. I see Metarog's in here. Hello. That's great. We're getting all the usual suspects in here. Like I said, line them all up.
That's right. That's right. What was I saying? What was I gonna say?
You were talking about Resident Evil, and then I butted in.
Oh no, I'm done with Resident Evil. Okay, yeah, that's a great game. But trying to think of like when it comes to when else comes to comics, I wanted to mention. I forgot.
Well, I got 3 comics this week.
You haven't bought anything in a while.
And I didn't buy these. These were gifted to me.
Oh, what were you gifted?
Friends of mine, they travel around, and I was at that dinner party last Wednesday, and that's why I couldn't be on the show, and that's why we had it on the Taco Tuesday edition.
Yes.
So after dinner, everyone's sitting around having dessert, and they brought over a bag to me of things that they got at like this outside sidewalk sale type of thing in the town. They were down south somewhere. And I'll do them in age order, but it's just kind of cool. And I remember when these came out, the Justice League book, 199.
Oh, okay, cool.
George Perez cover, pretty cool. Classic. That pose right there, he does a lot in a lot of his artwork. Then there's this one from 1979, Micronauts number 14. I always kind of enjoyed that book. I think part of it is because I used to get my, I had a couple of the Micronauts, and I would, play with them as you were reading it.
What were the Micronauts?
Well, they supposedly were in our universe, but part of a micro universe, a smaller universe, like on the inside. For some reason, I remember Psycho Man was in there with them somehow. I don't remember why. I'm sure someone will remember in the chat.
Okay.
I would guess Metarog or somebody like that's very versed in Bronze Age would remember. And then this one was awesome. I don't have this book. It's a 20-center. I opened it when I was at this dinner party with people that are non-comic collectors and had never seen it been around. I opened this plastic up and I started smelling the book, and I forgot to, people around me probably wondering, like, this guy lost his mind. Why is he smelling the comic book? And because it just has a euphoric smell.
That's right.
It's the Harpy. It's a nice book.
Yeah.
I heard 50 cover. It's a fun book. I read it earlier in the week, and I had never read that story before, so it was kind of cool. But it's kind of neat how, once you let people know that what one of your hobbies are, comics do kind of find their way to you. And Silver Age Dave mentioned that a lot in his videos, how books just seem to find him.
Yeah.
I think he has a much larger net, or cast a larger net than I have. Similar to how Nick has dealers that call him when they get books in. He doesn't even have to go looking for them. They'll say, hey, we got this collection in, because they know, he's a serious buyer. So I guess it's kind of a tip for the day is just let people know you're in the hobby and that you like it, because you just
never know.
You never know. You never know what they're going to walk across or be at. They could be in an estate sale, and a whole bunch of Silver Age comics are out there, and no one even knows that they are, cares about them. So they might call you, and then they grab them. So
that's right.
one. It Can't Hurt. Yeah, I thought John would enjoy that. Oh, there we go. Meteorite says, yes, Psycho Man crossed over with the Micronauts in that title. I thought so. I thought I remembered him. Wow. There's a nude Betty. I don't remember that. I got to read that again. That is a really weird cover. It still has her face. That's what's kind of creepy about it. And she's got that weird, like, half chicken body. Anyway.
Which number was that?
168.
Ah. Not too far. I think, what was it? The Wendigo was what, a couple issues before that?
I think so. I think 65. 165 maybe.
Yeah, I've always liked the Wendigo.
Yeah, terrifying character.
Yeah, that would be
really a lot more whenever he appeared back in X-Men when Wolverine wore his tan and brown costume for the first time, or one of the first times I remember it. I just remember it being like a horror movie where he was trying to protect the lady and the Wendigo kept trying to come and get him.
It's an urban legend, right? The Wendigo?
Yeah, it's Native American story.
Yeah, if you eat the flesh of somebody, you become this creature.
Yeah,
that is.
If you're a cannibal, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a TV show on Fear Itself. It was called. I think in the early 2000s, and one of the episodes was Wendigo, and it was scary as hell. My kids still talk about it. Father of the Year, I shouldn't have let them watch it, probably because they're like 8 years old. But
oh, are you kidding me? I let little Reaper watch Creepshow. That's all he wanted to watch for a few weeks.
Yeah. Let's throw on Clockwork Orange and let him watch it.
I didn't go that far, but I did let him watch, it's Father's Day episode where, guy came out of the ground and I said, "Oh, James, watch this part." He's like, "What? Watch this part." And all of a sudden the hand comes out.
The first movie, I loved I think it was The Crate.
Yes, that was my favorite.
Well, me too. I enjoyed that one a lot.
Yes. They were all EC-like, and they took their inspiration from EC.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Any of those top horror guys like George Romero, Stephen King, they'll all tell you.
Part of the other thing we're going to do is Anthony talked about, I talked about is things we're interested in, and I think the community is interested in, and I want to kind of bring others in, not just in the chat, but we're going to have them come in. And tonight's special guest is DS Comics, and Anthony, if you want to talk about him a little bit.
Yes, DS Comics. I don't think he's been on on YouTube for very, very long. But one of the things about DS Comics that I find I have in common with is that he is very much into pre-code horror. And part of the things that we want to talk about tonight, pre-code, Golden Age, and stuff like that. So we thought it'd be good to bring him on and get his expertise on it. Yeah. So his name is James. So we'd like to bring him on and talk a little bit more about the subject.
All right. I see we got a couple more. I see Bub's here. Hey, Bub. Yes, John. John says, Bedelia, I want my cake. Well, I love that line.
Yeah, where's my cake, you bitch?
Yeah. Well, as we wait for James to pop in, James, let me know if the link I sent you is not working. I believe it is. I can send it again.
Doggy in the house? In the room?
Mine, yes. 2 of them, actually. They're sleeping.
Oh, okay.
I just sent it again just in case. Look at this. Who else is in here?
How many people we have on? How many people?
27. It's pretty good. Pretty good for a freezing Wednesday. Wednesday night. I don't know if some people tuned in last night hoping to see us. We weren't there. And then initially when I posted this, it came on at 8. It said 8, and I don't know why. I think I was thinking it was it because it ends, roughly at 8 o'clock. So, but I corrected it. And everyone, let me know if you like that. I'll start putting it out earlier in the day to let you know. And I think I'll try to pick a picture maybe of the topics we're going to talk about. There's others that we're going to try to bring in. On it. Oh, I thought so. Just saw somebody pop in. Looks like it was efforting. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. So everyone keep an eye on your email. It's kind of hard because I know YouTube Messenger doesn't really work great these days. Sometimes I'll get a message from somebody and you can tell by what they say and what video they're talking about, and it's sometimes I don't get them for like a week or more. And then the other thing, I went through my subs again early in the week because I noticed that Alex and a couple other people weren't in my subs anymore. So then I went back and looked, and there was at least 30 of them missing. So I'm in the process of trying to go back and resub everyone because I don't know what happened. I don't know if the start of the year, if YouTube did something, but I think I lost over half the people I subbed to. So
yeah, I've noticed the same thing with some people. Like Knights of Old, I gotta go back and I have to go back and double check.
Yeah. Oh, and also for anyone that knows, what happened to Silver Planet? I loved his videos. He was fun.
He's under a different name now. I don't know the name off the top of my head. I don't remember it, but he's under a different name now.
Anyway, so Silver Planet, if you're watching this, chime in. Let us know what your channel is. Or don't. Maybe you don't want all of us comic guys following your new channel. But anyway, I miss your videos. So anyone that knows who Silver Planet is now or what his handle is now, let us know because I'd like to sub him up again and watch his videos. His interplay with the mysterious Bob was always enjoyable for me.
Yeah, he's definitely an interesting guy.
Yeah, different, Also, well, EC Ed, whenever you get landed and get where you are, we'd like to see some more of your EC videos.
Yeah, I think his semester started just as mine did last week. So I'm sure he's just settling in and getting used to everything in Utah. Yeah,
I'm sure it's a big adjustment going from the South to Utah. So
yeah, talk about that. That's one hell of a move too for him.
Yes.
Is he originally from the South?
I don't know. I know he lived up here for a while in Western New York for quite a while, and then he kind of has a Southern accent. So I tend to believe he's from down south somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes I have a hard time picking up the accent. When people have an accent, unless it's really prominent,
like a British accent.
Well, like in the South too.
Yeah.
There's some people from the South that I really have to listen to in order to hear that drawl.
Yeah.
There. But then there are some that it's more pronounced, like Dale Roberts.
Yeah. Dale, you totally pick up on.
You pick it up. It's not in so much in your face, but you hear it in each sentence a little bit. It's good. I've always found that the Southern accent has more of a charm than the accents we have up here. When people talking about people from Europe and they're watching us and they may not know all the different accents that we have. You go to Chicago, it has its unique accent. Probably one of the more famous ones is New York, New Jersey, and all that stuff. And
Boston definitely have a very clear.
Yes, and the South, of course, but they're all sort of different versions of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I find really interesting.
Yeah, one of the weirder ones is the Florida Panhandle. They kind of have that sound like a Boomhauer off King of the Hill. People from around there, and you got to tell them to slow down because a lot of Southern has that drawl where it's a slower delivery.
Yes.
Not from the Florida Panhandle. They talk 1,000. They said like they talk super fast.
Yeah.
We're almost at the end of our glass here. This isn't looking good.
Yeah. No.
Yes, where are you?
Yeah, I know. We're gonna have to move on.
Well,
wait a second.
I thought I saw him in the chat actually. So.
Oh.
Don't know what caused that, but.
All right. Well.
Anyway. We can move on.
We will move on then.
Yeah, we'll move on. So I finished Punisher 2.
Yes, so did I.
Last night. I think I was texting you while I was watching it. And overall I liked it. I watched a few reviews after I completed it this morning. I watched just to see what other people thought about it. And I'm pretty sure that show's probably going to get canceled. But after watching the whole thing, and it suffered from what most of the Netflix shows do for me, where it felt like it could have been 8. They always feel 5 to 6 episodes heavy, and I'm sure that's not Marvel's fault or whoever the production company is. I think it's whoever orders the episodes demands that they have 13. But overall, I thought it was the tightest of all the episodes of all the series that I saw on there from 1 to 13. I didn't really feel there was any dogs in the whole thing. There was plot holes in there and characters maybe did things you didn't like or maybe they wouldn't have done. the Billy character, I think, was kind of redundant. I think he
Yeah.
did a lot of the same things he did in the first one, and I got wary of the whole "I got amnesia" thing. I was if he rubbed his head one more time, I was gonna pull my hair out.
Yeah, there were some parts in each episode, especially with Billy and his shrink. Is that who it was?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just had, I was just like, this.
Yeah,
I
the
was a
whole
little
car
bored.
thing. I'm like, okay, I get it. They're kinky and weird. I don't need to see that.
What was your
This
favorite?
is going to be spoiler filled, by the way. So everyone, just turn your audio off because I don't do well not talking about spoilers. One thing that irritated the hell out of me was when the Homeland Security lady and the psychiatrist are fighting in the apartment. How is this lady that's she has like a debilitating injury because she had a bad limp and everything, able to pretty much physically manhandle the agent, and the agent's bigger than her on top of that.
Yeah.
She didn't even have the element of surprise on her.
Yeah,
You know?
do you have a favorite episode in the season?
I think I liked it was either one or two the most.
Okay.
I like the bar scene.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have cared if they ignored Billy the whole time. Maybe they brought him in near the end and he got killed.
Honestly, they really didn't need him.
The John Pilgrim character was much more interesting to me. And at first I didn't like the way it ended, but then I got to thinking about it and I started going through the kill count. He didn't really ever kill anyone that wasn't a participant in crime or the whole thing.
I thought the same thing this
If
morning.
they didn't pick up a knife or a gun, or if they weren't involved in some kind of illegal activity, like, yeah, you can feel bad for those kids that got shot up. And I don't know that he did it or the mercenaries did it, but they were part of it. You know, you're going to blackmail a billionaire. You should expect that, or you're dealing with the Russian mob. You should expect that there's,
like what Frank told her, like what Frank told Amy. Listen, how'd you think this was going to end? You were blackmailing some pretty bad people.
Yeah, you're in it at that point. So,
I mean,
it reminded me of Predator. How Predator in the Predator movie, if you don't have a weapon, he just leaves you alone. You're not a participant. You know.
My favorite episode was the third episode when they were in the police station.
Oh yeah, I did. I enjoyed that. You're right. I thought that was part of too.
That was a very Night of the Living Dead sort of atmosphere. That's not creepy. That's scary.
The lady that patched him up and all that, she only had 5 minutes on the screen, but what great acting I thought she did in that little tiny bit.
Yeah.
It just made it feel authentic, I think, small town.
I enjoy it. Yeah, I love those sort of things. At night, it's, obviously dark at night. You're holed up into this little area where things are trying to get in.
Yeah.
And you're doing everything you can to fight your own fears and to survive.
Yeah, the line the one guy had too, where he's looking out the window when Frank was running around through the woods killing everybody, and he said, this is just like watching one of those TV shows or movies where this bad guy comes down and kills the people that were supposed to be bad, only he's really bad.
But you're right though about John Pilgrim, because I was thinking about it. Punisher let him go, and I'm like saying, okay, he let this guy go, but he didn't kill any cops.
No,
he didn't kill any innocent people.
No.
He killed his former white supremacist guys.
And they deserved it.
They deserved it.
He killed the Russians. They deserved it.
Yeah, exactly. Russian mafia, Russian mob guys.
I didn't mean just all Russians. I meant the Russian mob guys.
I mean, so Frank would have probably done it eventually if they would have crossed him. So, he didn't really let him go after killing like an agent or a cop or anything and stuff like that. And so I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. I like John Pilgrim.
Where I could tell where the script editor didn't pay attention, because I remember there was one where that Agent Madani said something to the lines of, this is all over something to do with someone's sexual preference or something. And at that point, she didn't know that. You can tell that scene must have been filmed out of sequence, and when it got edited, it got moved ahead. But I mean, that's a minor thing. I see some of the people on the internet complaining about how certain people wouldn't have done this or that, and they would have liked it better if they did this. And my thought of response to that is always, write your own damn story. You write it? Have you ever created anything in your life? Shut up already. I just who are you to say? These people wrote those characters. How do you just say what they would do?
Sitting in your basement, Yeah.
Plus, that's so boring. Do you really want them to do exactly what you thought? Don't you want them to get surprised? And
I think the John Pilgrim character in the comic wasn't even named John Pilgrim.
Mm-hmm.
He was some other type of character.
Mm-hmm.
They just took that character, the basis of that character, and I guess added what we saw on the screen to create John Pilgrim, which I thought was a good idea.
Yeah, the only time I think the only place I've ever seen that actor too, he was in Criminal Minds. He was like the husband of the blonde-haired girl.
He was also in The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh,
He was one of Bane's head henchmen.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a very characterist face. You know, he's got the kind of Garfield-like eyes, and he's got like a deadpan expression. There's no soul there.
Yeah, I like the scene though when he's like that one episode when he went back to his old ways. You know, when he was in New York, and after he got into the big tangle, with all his former
buds. Part of that was pain relief, though.
Yeah, I think so. But it was funny. I just liked it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I thought it was real good.
And then, of course, he had that big gunfight with him and Frank.
Yeah. And that was some of the complaints somebody feels like, oh, everyone in that hotel would have died. And it's like, no, and, you know, most of the time, between floors is concrete. You know.
Again, what the hell do you know, right? I mean,
exactly. How many gunfights have you been? How many hotels have you built?
You know, how many schematics have you worked on and stuff?
Exactly.
Shut up.
Super annoying.
So I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the hell out of it.
So what do you think's going to happen with this?
I think we've seen The Last of Punisher for quite a while, because I don't see Disney putting the murdering vigilante in the forefront. So it's unfortunate, but I don't think you're going to see any Punisher programming for a while. There's new comics out, and a couple things that I've looked at. It looks like it's pretty decent. The artwork looks fantastic. The storyline looks pretty good. So I think this kind of quiet relaunch of Marvel is headed in the right direction, but time will tell. I definitely want to kind of maybe get back into it, because I feel like I've concentrated so much on selling some of my other stuff to get books that I always wanted, that I've got away from a little bit from the reading end of it. And I still read tons of trades. I got a whole bookcase full of over there, and I'm almost done with Challengers of the Unknown, and then next up is Moonshine. I want to read. It's Brian Azzarello. Looks real good to me. Where the mobsters come down to, I think it's Kentucky or West Virginia, and try to take over the moonshine trade. And of course, there's hillbillies and werewolves apparently. So I can't wait to read it.
There was this movie. I don't know when it came out. It came out maybe within the last 10 years. I didn't see it, but I wanted to see it. It was called Cockneys versus Zombies.
No, I have never heard of it. Sounds like a Shaun of the Dead kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe, but I thought that might be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah,
with that odd combination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched a bank robber movie last weekend. It was called Hell or High Water. It was really good. Chris Pine's in it. And Jeff Bridges plays an old grizzly kind of Texas Ranger. I thought it was real good, different. I kept my interest the whole time. This is really beautifully shot too. There was a lot of there was a little bit of social commentary in there. It was got a little heavy, ham-fisted at times. That times are tough and things aren't great in America for everybody. Kind of a message. So I think it came out 2016, 2017, but it was great. I enjoyed the hell out of it. So
what's the next movie for you in the theater? Is it going to be Captain Marvel?
Probably be Captain Marvel. Yeah. It comes out on the 8th, and my birthday is in March, so I usually go out on my birthday and watch a movie. But I'll probably go see that one. I'm looking forward to it. I've really completely ignored anything I see on YouTube or the internet about it.
You mean you're not going to watch Emergency Awesome?
No.
You're not going to watch the top 10 things you missed from the second Endgame trailer?
Yeah, him, and then what's that? Collider's the other one, and then John something Italian. What's that guy's name? I can't watch him. I can't watch him either. Anyway, sorry if anyone likes those guys. It just I like to wait and see what they are.
Do we even know what the new Star Wars movie's subtitle is? Doesn't that come out in December?
You know what? I don't know. Beyond the Blast Doors he was on last time. If he was on, he'd know that for sure. If we ever need Star Wars, anything, he's the guy to go to. Actually, JLS, he's on here. Jesse, usually he knows about all the movie stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I see a couple people have checked in here. Let's check it out real quick.
All right.
Simon Comics. Hello. No. DS is having trouble.
Uh-oh.
John Venezuela. Hello, Yakety Yakety. I see Scott's on here. Hey. There's Bubsy again. Excellent.
All right.
We're bouncing between like 25 and 30 tonight. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
DS, I'm going to send you a link right now. So, Anthony, do some tap dancing or something and entertain everyone until I come back.
Does anybody want to see a game? I got them right over here. I got some Genesis games here to show off.
All right. DS, I just sent you another invite, so see if that worked. If not, we're going to have to maybe do a dry run.
If not, we're going to have to go through my Genesis collection, so sorry.
Right. Yeah, I can't take some things back. It looks like one of us, and either it's me or you, it looks like our bandwidth is decreasing at times because we kind of get kicked down from 720. It looks like it's kicking us down to 480 maybe, or a much slower frame rate.
Oh, I don't know. I think one of the first one we did together, when I went to go back to watch it, I noticed that I was like in a Max Headroom sort of state.
Yeah, you were bouncing around a little bit.
Like, the way I usually move around, but it wasn't it wasn't in real time. It was like,
well, maybe you should tell everyone that you're not a real person. You're just computer generated.
Well, I didn't want to spoil it. I wanted to leave that to everybody else.
Yeah. You got one person, Matt Rogg, said he'd love to see all your Genesis.
All right, Matt Rogg, I'll show you one.
All right. Well, you know what? If DS can't make it in, as far as Golden Age, to me, I was thumbing through this book over my head here this morning, and it covers the beginning of Comics On. And I guess when I think of Golden Age, or at least when I initially think of Golden Age, I always think of Superman or like the Human Torch and the original Captain America and all that. And there's so much that happened before that and after that and during that time period where they're still referred to as funnies. Famous Funnies was one of the top titles, and there still was a lot of the detective genre stuff going in there. It didn't seem like to me that the hero stuff really took off till like the mid 40s. I mean, obviously Superman was
like with Shazam,
Yeah. Later,
that's when you had the real because I think Shazam or Captain Marvel, depending on what camp you're in,
Red Bomber or whatever people like calling him. Yeah.
He, I think at one time he was more popular than Superman, and he was very much the essence of,
There he is.
There he is.
Welcome.
What's up?
Yep.
Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the show.
We were just kind of talking. I don't know if you heard what we were saying, but we were just talking about how, at least for me, when I think of the Golden Age, I always think of Superman and all the other heroes, but there was so much more to it than just the guys in tights. And the book that I was looking at that's behind me really talked. The majority of Superman's only 3 or 4 pages, and everything else is talking about everything else in the genre. The horror books. I didn't realize. I always thought that was in the 50s only, but that looks like that was there from the beginning.
I missed a little bit of that because I was having technical issues.
Oh, I was just saying it looks like that the horror part of the Golden Age was there from the beginning. I always thought that came in at the tail end in the early 50s and got kind of snuffed out in 54, 55. But
yeah,
like that was a big part of the Golden Age.
Yeah, I mean, there was horror related stuff going back into the 40s, but I guess like the first recognized horror book is Eerie. Was a one-shot in 1947, and if you're into pre-code horror, that's like a huge grail. That's like one of the top keys. There's not really a lot of keys in horror books, so yeah, that's definitely a horror key.
Yeah.
And then really didn't start having horror-themed books until like 51. So really from 51 to 55, 54, early 55, those 4 years, everything is packed in pretty densely, and that's like just live fast and die young for pre-code horror. So that's it.
They overdid
4 years.
That's
it was
right.
like 0 to 60.
That's right. Yeah. Eerie #1 was a book that I wish I could have gotten. And
Yeah.
I saw it years ago for sale, like a 1.8 for like $500. And I was like, oh, I don't want a 1.8.
Who was the publisher of Eerie #1?
I'm not sure who the publisher was on that.
I think the publisher. Oh, it's just I know it. It escapes me right now.
Yeah, there's so many like
Avon.
Okay, yeah. There's so many obscure publishers. Some of them were only around for a single title, and just did like a few issues in that title. Like some of the Aragon books or Gilmore. They had like one solid title, and it only ran for 6 or 8 issues or something. So there was a ton of publishers getting in the game, but most of them didn't last.
Most of them didn't survive the whole Senate hearing thing. I think there was like 50 companies before that, and afterward there was only like 7 or 8.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of them changed their styles around. Like EC did that; they were a mainstay, but they had a huge operation. I don't think they could afford to sort of give up on comic books. So they went in another direction.
Yeah, the new direction, as they called it.
Yeah, but I mean that Senate hearings and the the Comics Code Authority, that pretty much sounded the death knell for most of the horror comics. Now, some of the publishers stayed in business and went on to do a couple other things, but most of them were gone at that point.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, you used to be a superhero collector, correct?
I did, actually. I mean, I grew up with superheroes. I remember as a kid, my dad would bring back issues of Thor for me in the 80s. So that was like, I grew up with Thor in the 80s. And, Spider-Man and the Avengers and Iron Man and all that stuff. And then I was out of it for a long time, like most of us. And when I got back in with sort of a more sophisticated, not sophisticated, but more of an adult view of it as collecting as value instead of just, this is cool, let's read it and roll it up and put it in my back pocket. Then I went after some of the big superhero keys. And what I found, and this is up until last year even, really the last big keys I picked up were Hulk 181, an ASM 129, and I was going after an X-Men 1, and I sort of decided I really didn't want it, and that was where it changed for me. But I was really getting into the horror books, and I was still collecting the superhero books, and it was once I would get the superhero book, I found myself not really looking at it, not displaying it anywhere, not really, I crossed it off the list. And it was sort of anticlimactic. Yeah. And I was picking up smaller pre-code horror books that were far more exciting to me than even like a Hulk 181, which I had an 8.5. And it was, a big book, but I had small pre-code books that were much more exciting to me.
What's hard to find, too. Why is it, what was it about those pre-code horror that were more exciting to you than some of these big superhero books?
It's a whole different type of collecting if you're into pre-code horror books, because it's not plot driven, it's not character driven, it's not story driven. It's mainly covers. And people who aren't into pre-code horror, they sort of ask, why would you pay that much money just for the cover? But the cover art is so unique, and it's just got such a sort of over the top horrific charm. It's hard to explain unless you're really into that stuff. But and it's not just the cover, it's the cover with sort of the frame of the book behind it. It's like if Van Gogh created, 1,000 Starry Night paintings and put them each in an original frame, and then later on they became collectible. You would want the original frame with the painting, but you're buying the painting, but the original frame goes with it, even if it has some wear or maybe some pieces missing. So you want the full book with the cover, but it's not on a historical basis. It's not a first appearance. There's not really any keys. In pre-code horror.
Yeah, I mentioned that in I think one of the videos, we talk about a lot of people are driven by first appearances, and I am too. I'm sure Patrick is, and so many others. But when it comes to pre-code horror, in particular for me, EC, you're not really going to get that. You get the covers, like you mentioned.
Right.
There are some first appearances, first this, first that, but the majority of it is not that. And a lot of people that I've found, that I've talked to or I've heard of, don't really understand, like what you said, James. Why would you spend that much on that book? It doesn't make too much sense. It's something that if you're at that point, we really can't explain to you. If you just don't get the whole thing, what James just said or what I said, there's nothing that I could say that's going to make you understand. It's just one of those things.
I think a big part is because if you're a hero collector or a comic collector, you see the same people or roughly the same people in the book every month.
Yeah.
And in those books, it's one and done, because a lot of times half the characters are dead by the end of the story. So it's more like a serial, you know, where you see these things, and it's an episode, and that story's done, and then they move on to the next story.
Yeah, and I don't want people to get the wrong idea. The stories and the art on the interior of these pre-code horror books is top notch, but every single issue of all of those essentially are sort of like horror or crime anthologies, and each book will have, like, you know, anywhere from 4 to 6 separate stories, and each story is awesome, and the art is awesome, the writing is awesome. And I collect the hardcovers and the reprints so I can still enjoy those. So there's thousands and thousands of great little mini stories inside these pre-code horror books. But the collectability of those is way overshadowed by the fantastic uniqueness of the cover art. So the interior goes with it. It's part of the original piece of art. But that cover is just so stunning, and if you're into that, there's no other art form out there visually that is like that at all. I mean, it's really one of a kind.
And they're perfect for displaying, for everything you just said. Perfect for displaying. Like you were saying, that you would get a superhero book and you're like, sort of put it away. I'm not really showing it off, displaying it. But it's different when you get that horror book. Like some of the books that I've seen you have, James, like Startling Terror. I mean, I know you got a few of them. Forgive me, I'm not that good with the numbers of those areas. If it was EC, I'd be able to tell you what it was. But the one with the spider on it. And then you got Suspense, which is also almost like a swipe of that, by L.B. Cole, correct?
Yes. Suspense 8 and Startling Terror Tales 11.
And then you got Chamber of Chills 19, which is one that I would probably get one day.
And my only restored book, you know, but that's fantastic. I don't want to give it up because it might be so hard to replace.
Exactly. Those things are
the thing why a lot of guys get into this. I know a guy locally that collects that, Mike, who I do videos with. He's huge into pre-code horror. It's predominantly what he collects. But there's another guy that we see set up, and that's all he collects. And it's so much harder to find these books. It's not so much the money; it's just to actually find them.
Yeah. I mean, it's very difficult.
Yeah. I mean, there's the word scarcity and rarity. It takes on a whole new form when you're collecting pre-code horror, even Golden Age in general. But some of the Batman, Superman stuff, Flash, Golden Age stuff that's superhero related, there's more out there. But when you get into some of these esoteric, sought after pre-code horror stuff, I mean, if there's 40 or 50 on the census, that lets you know that book is plentiful. And that's not really that much overall. You talk to, superhero, Bronze, Silver Age, that's like 40 or 50. It's hardly ever out there, but 40 or 50 for a PCH book is, I'll put that on the back burner. I can pick that up anytime. But some of them, there's
like an abundance of them,
Yeah, I mean, I'll move those down the list if I can find something where there's like 8 on the census. And that 8 on the census means there's more than 8 of them out there, but it's far more scarce. And most of these fall in the 20 to 30 on the census range. So there's a challenge to picking them up, and it's not like you can say, my next book is an X-Men 1, and then you just need to pick your price, pick your grade. Do you want light green or dark green? What kind of restored, universal, whatever. It's not like that. You make a list, and sometimes you got to pick what comes up because you may not see it again for years.
I faced that same issue when, as some of you know, with the Crime Patrol 15. As you know, I was going. Now, since I purchased it, a few popped up, but it is not easy to find. It's not easy to find in the grade that I got it, and I have a low grade copy. I have a 4.5. But you find a 4.5.
What's going to happen in the next few years, if you are a Golden Age collector, I think you're going to see a lot of guys that either pass away or just stop collecting and get rid of their books altogether. So it'd be interesting to see in the next 5 years or so, 10 years, what's going to happen with Golden Age comics, because to a certain degree, investor people will say it's dead money. But I'm just interested to see how many of those books are going to suddenly become out of collections, because so many of these, the reason they're so scarce is because these guys, when they do get them, they know how hard they are to get. They clutch onto them, and the only way to get them out of their hands is when they're gone.
Well, Oh, I was going to say, there's some pre-code horror books. They're all hard to find, but there's some that get passed around. People buy them, put them back on the market, pick them back up again. And then there are some that are just notorious for growing roots in collections. Somebody gets a copy and they never get rid of it. And, there's a couple like that, like Black Cat Mystery 50 is one. I just picked up. I've got I don't even know. I almost feel like I should trade down because it doesn't even fit with the rest of my collection, but it's hard to give up on a 7.0 of that book. I lucked into that, and it just was at the right time. But You know, I just picked up one in a Comic Link this week, Mr. Mystery #6. That's a book I've been looking for years, and it just never comes up. And so this was a 2.5 presentable, and I just targeted that and I got it. And it's you know, books like that sometimes never come up. And then, you know, the LB Cole stuff. Yeah, I actually just picked that one up. Yeah,
this is the fake copy. This is my. This is the fake copy. There is the real copy.
Oh, he's got it. I see. Lord No Prize. That's Mike's handle. Everybody, he's on. So he knows about a lot of this. I'm sure him and DS could talk for hours about this stuff.
One question I wanted to ask you though, James. So before you go, you know, okay, let's say somebody, okay, I'm interested in pre-code horror.
There you go.
The thing is, like we just talked about, like they're hard to find, but when I do find them, they're so expensive. Do you have like a good place to start for somebody to find really nice pre-code horror, but nothing that's going to be like the one you have or a Crime Patrol 15 or something that could be, you know, somewhat in budget? I'm not talking like 20 bucks.
Yeah, I mean, I think most comic collectors dig pre-code horror. Most of them just have not been exposed to it enough to really know that they dig it. But, you know, there's been a couple collectors that have seen the stuff I got, and they're like, oh, where do I get started? What can I pick up? There's a lot of stuff out there that's really cheap, and it's really awesome. And I usually recommend EC. EC is affordable, except for like obviously the big books, but they're plentiful. You can find them across a lot of grades. That's, you know, sort of the Cadillac, which is why there were so many out there. It's like the top notch, even at the time. Atlas books are really good. You know, Journey into the Unknown, stuff like that. And then, you know, you can pick up, you know, if you like LB Cole, there's a lot of his art. And usually the lower end stuff is, you know, $100 a point. You know, you don't use GPA to determine prices on this stuff.
What you were talking to me about, GPA sometimes sucks about pre-code horror because there's just no data.
Yeah, I think some people are afraid to jump into horror books because they're not familiar with it, and they go look up on GPA, and they can't get a sense of, well, how much should I pay for this book?
Yeah, last sale was like 2014 for a
book. And it says like it says $120. I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah,
it's
so,
not gonna go for $120.
If you just start researching it and just serendipitously just, you know, go down the PCH rabbit hole and just see what you like and what interests you, and sort of get familiar with what turns you on in that genre first, and then you can find, like, Atlas has some really cool stuff, and most of it is you can pick up raws just straight up on eBay for 50 or 60 bucks. Yeah, and they're beautiful books, and you know, that's what I used to do at first, and then I would get exposed and find some books that I really wanted, and even then the PCH tops out at about $1,000 a point. Now that sounds insanely expensive, but you know, Black Cat 50 is probably the consensus biggest pre-code horror book, and it's about $1,000 a point. So 3.5 is going to be about $3,500 bucks.
Why is it so big, though? Why is it so big? Yeah, you're right. But why? Why do they say it's the biggest?
Well, it's just such an obscene cover, and I've got my copy here. I'll show you. It's just such, it's just such an over-the-top scene. I mean, this is from 1954, and this guy's holding, you know, it's Atom Age, so he's holding a bar of radium, and the radiation is melting his face off.
That is
can you imagine being 10 and being allowed to purchase that? How awesome that was.
That cover is
back then. You know, you imagine you brought that home and you got like your Leave at the Beaver House and your mom's dressed like June Cleaver and Eccles. You throw that on the kitchen table. That's a guarantee.
And it goes right into the garbage when Dad comes home.
Right into it was used to beat you that night.
I know. I think a lot of these probably ended up in tree houses or forts or somewhere outside the house where the kids
or on a bonfire.
Yeah.
Or on a bonfire.
Oh, yeah, when they were burning books during that BS, you know, that went on. That's a great cover.
I know, it's just over the top with the black in the background and the guy's face melting. And so many of these are so low grade, but it's just such a cool image. You know, it's just highly sought after, and people get it and they don't give it up, and that drives the price up, and everybody wants a copy, and they're just not enough to go around. So, you know, top of the list, $1,000 a point. But I mean, even if you compare this to like Silver Age, even Bronze Age books, I mean, you're not going to get a 3.5 X-Men 1 for $3,500 anymore, or you know, ASM 1 is going to be, you know, 3.5, you're talking 10, 12 grand probably.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of the ceiling. And then it goes all the way down to, 100 a point. I used to pick up books for 40 to $75 pre-code. That was my pre-code collection when I first started. And I had books I really liked.
Yeah.
So.
Well, really appreciate you coming on, James. Yeah, it was really interesting. And thank you for sharing those 2 books, because those are books that people do not see often.
Not that great.
Especially that grade. That's why I'm saying I don't think.
Yeah, lucky for that.
I don't know if you should. I don't know if you should get rid of it.
I
wouldn't. That's the crown. It's got it. You say it doesn't have a place. It does have a place.
Yeah.
It's the thing. But
I know a guy up here that probably would probably buy it.
Yeah, well, there's been a couple people that have hit me up about it, and I'm like, all right, yeah, here's the thing, and I'm like, all right, well, what do you want to do with it? And they're like, well, I can't figure out what it's worth. I'm like, all right, well, so it never went anywhere because it's hard to put a price on.
Yeah.
I don't know. So.
Well, when the price does come out, we'll see what people want. See if they're really going to pay for it, because that's a beauty, James.
Yeah,
but,
well, I appreciate it. Thanks. I'm lucky to have it.
It's very cool. But thank you for coming on and sharing some of your expertise on the subject. I love this subject. I could talk about this for hours.
Yeah. This is the year I'm hoping to get some stuff. I'm going to start with the Gateway Drug, the EC books, and
once you go EC, you don't come back.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
ECs are real good for, especially the value you get out of ECs is top notch. I recommend anybody who's starting in that, check out ECs. That's like the quality stuff, and it's affordable, and it's out there. And there's a lot of awesome stuff to choose from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks again, though, James. And I'll be talking with you soon.
All right. Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
See you.
All right. Take care.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
nice, you can lean on the community that way, and we have some others that are Golden Age guys too. So, that'll be good.
That cover though, that cover's
cover's freaky.
You could imagine that though, like just translate that into real life.
Can you see that? Oh, what'd you get today, honey? And he whips that book out of his little book bag.
Oh, white heat.
Wow.
Okay, excuse me.
He probably would have been less, upset if he pulled out, a nudie magazine.
Yeah, probably right.
less disturbing. Bob says, catch DS every Monday night on No Faces Comic Chat. That's right. Those guys have their. Well, I don't know. Is he going to get kicked out now? He showed his face.
Yeah, I appreciate him. I appreciate him coming. I appreciate him coming down, showing his face. Because usually, if you watch DS, and you should sub him up, when you see his videos, it's you don't see his face. It's always just on the book.
Yeah, and what I can do too is I got to do better about that. But when we do these live ones, they post immediately afterward. But I can go in afterward and edit. So typically, what I'll do is I rewatch this with the sound down, and I look at all the comments. So if anyone asks a question, I try to answer it, or I try to bring it up in the next thing. I did see Beyond the Blast Doors jumped in and said hello. Now Anthony had a question. Does the new Star Wars movie have a title yet?
Yeah, I would have thought it would have had a title by now, or at least be known to all of us.
Yeah, and I would think if anyone knew, he would know that for sure. So maybe they'll make DS wear a ski mask or a Mexican wrestler mask for the rest of the time he's on No Faces.
He's gonna come as La Parka.
Yeah.
He's gonna be the chairman of the group.
He showed his face. He's not allowed to, and it's like their code.
Yeah, that's like
first rules. You're not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, that's a big thing in Mexican wrestling. That's like sacrilegious if you take your mask off. That's why WCW had Rey Mysterio Jr. take it off several times.
This could be a new thing, though. That's like the first appearance of DS now. We can call it, instead of a cameo or like Metarog or any of those other guys. We'll get them on here and see if they'll come on live. And
yes, we should call that. We should call that episode "YouTubers Exposed."
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, it's getting late already.
Yeah, I know. We always do this. We always look at the clock, and it's around 7:55.
I know.
5 minutes ago.
I mean, if everyone wants to hang in here, we're still. It looks like at 25 right now. So I didn't keep track of it. I don't know. I didn't know if we lost some people because Golden Age isn't for everybody, and I tend to think it is usually an older guy thing. But what I've noticed is when I go to shows now, I'm starting to see guys under 40 that are getting into that, and to me that's a great time to get in because, like I was saying, I think a lot of these older guys are cashing out or they're passing away, and they're Mike called them black. It's called the Black Hole Collection, and he's right. These guys, it goes in a collection and it never comes out again. I mean, if you think of like Silver Age Dave, he gets books and they never leave his comic room, and they probably won't till he's not around anymore. So, and you get these great books and they're locked up in collections, and that's just what happens. So,
well, that's that Crime Patrol. It's locked up here.
Yeah, I have books like that too.
Time.
I'm not gonna turn them loose.
It's funny though. When I showed that book off immediately, some people say, "Hey, you want to sell that to me?"
No, they obviously
really.
watched the video on how hard you've looked and how lucky you were to get that book.
I was lucky. That's exactly what it was. I was lucky.
Yeah, it's just right place, right time. A lot of times that happens.
So believe me, I was looking for that day and night. More so than I was looking for the Detective 140 several years ago.
Yeah.
Because I was really hung up about that one.
Yeah. And a lot of times too, it's when you see it, that's the right time to buy it. Because if you remember back in Charlotte, I saw that Avengers 1. It had the Jack Kirby signature on page 1. And I kind of said, okay, let's do a lap. And I came back and someone had bought it.
Well, speaking of Charlotte, me, Mrs. Reaper, and Little Reaper might be going this year.
Okay.
We'll see.
You mean you're going to take him on the sales floor?
We're going to take him, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's pretty daring. You're going to bring like your Black Amex card with you?
Well,
cover damages.
I'm going to bring a tranquilizer, number one. So I could just I'm going to use one of Nick's, one of those things. Take a
Yeah, hopefully it'd be great if we get Nick to come this year, and hopefully because it's in North Carolina, it's kind of in After Comics, Alan's backyard. It would be great if we get him to show. And
there are a lot of people going to be there, I think, this year, but we're going to see. We're going to see if we can make it. You never know what could happen in the world of Reaper here.
I know John and Mike and I are planning on going. I don't know if Dr. Von Chilla talked about it last year about maybe trying to track down, but we'll see. See who all goes. And,
is it at the same location though, Patrick, or is it a different location?
I believe it's in the same location. It's in Charlotte.
But the same. Where was it last year? What was the name of the building? Do you remember?
It was a convention center. It was attached to the hotel.
Yeah.
It was easy to get to, and it had parking. Wasn't great, but which was fine for me because I got dropped off each morning. You and Mike, I think, stayed at the hotel and just walked across the bridge.
Yeah,
right?
that was easy for us. But the drive was not bad. It was a long drive, obviously, for me, but it was just a long straight drive. It wasn't like, I had to go through the Beltway because I refuse to do that. And it wasn't. There didn't hit any traffic or anything like that going or coming back. So it was nice. I told you about we stopped in Virginia in the Starbucks. The lady was kind enough not to flush the toilet before I went in there to wash my hands. So
it was kind of her.
It was kind. She left me a couple of gifts.
Oh, excellent. It's always nice. Hopefully she didn't wash her hands either.
No, I don't think she did. But
Great.
I made sure I used the tissue to open up the door and all that stuff to lock it. And then I got into the car and threw a ton of hand sanitizer on, even though I washed my hands. So.
Right in your coffee.
I washed my face.
So next week, I have a couple ideas, and Anthony and I talk about it. So some of you out there, keep an eye on your emails because I think it would be fun to bring different people in each week. We'd like to maybe do more than one. I think we'll get this working a little bit smoother than it went tonight. I don't know what happened with the links. I think sometimes Google and YouTube is just so big that things just can't work smoothly. There's a lot of little things that happen that obviously we're not aware of. You think you just click a button, but there's 1,000 little steps that happen behind that. So I think that's probably what happened. Yeah. It was great. It was great having him on. I mean, I like having someone who knows that much about something, and maybe tonight someone heard something and they're going to go out and buy a EC book and they get into it.
Right now, everyone's on eBay like, I need EC keys. What's the best EC key?
Copy. I've never seen that nice a copy of that book before.
Oh, the Black Cat.
Yeah, and the color. I mean, the color on it was so bright,
and the faces are so big on the cover.
Yeah.
The thing is with ECs,
it's a close up.
Yeah. Let me show the one I got from
Everything's
John.
Pushed forward in them.
Here's the thing with sometimes ECs, they cut off almost half the book with the the actual title.
Mhm.
And with the other horrors, they have the portraits, so you get a little bit of the picture sometimes. But with that one, it was just like right in your face. That whole thing. That's one of the things I liked about those other pre-codes that sometimes EC doesn't do. But they're still good though. They're still great to have.
Yeah, I think I would love to see them come back. Either HBO or somebody like that would come back, and Netflix.
They're always talking about it. They're always talking about it.
Yeah, and bring an EC weekly or EC series back on, because if you look at like Black Mirror and things like that, they're very EC like, I think, at least the Black Mirrors that I've seen.
They absolutely are. They absolutely are.
The movies that you've been showing are cool, but the problem with them is they're all British, so that kind of turns some people off.
What, the ones from the 70s?
Yeah, the ones from the 70s, and the production value is not great in them. So, and it's not that they're old; it's just they never were great. They never spent a lot of money on them. So, I mean, even if you watch a lot of British TV today, I mean, Downton Abbey, I mean, it looked like a high school student film but people loved it.
Yeah.
Doctor Who just now, I think, is starting to get a little bit more budget.
Yeah, for a long time, the production value was highly questionable on a lot of those shows. And you're right, the EC movies from the 70s were no exception to that. But it's 8:01. It was a great show.
Yeah, I see Goomba just stopped in. Hey, bud. Mike, Lord No Prize. Mike just said no. Stop buying PCH until I finish my collection.
Well, I got a couple more PCH over the last few weeks. They haven't been unveiled yet. Some will be unveiled in my.
You have your big haul video coming up this weekend, right?
It's going to show some of them, but the others are not going to be shown until April.
Oh wow! It's a long wait.
So some people got to wait, but we got quite a few of them coming out in April. And before that haul, there'll probably be a few more. Okay. And for maybe another one in June. So it's spread out over the first half year.
Well, I'm hoping, I'm efforting to start doing more than just these chats each week. I have a whole bunch of ideas, I think, for Paper Time Machines that I want to do. I think it'll be fun, at least for me. It's fun talking about them. And then what we were talking about at the beginning, I think once the weather does get a little bit warmer, I am going to go around to the town here and go to the, a dozen or so spots that I would forage for comics, I would call it. You would suffer all day watching your mom and grandma dress shop at Sears just so you have 2 minutes in front of the comic rack at the local drugstore. Nothing worse than sitting there waiting for that. Oh, I still don't like shopping to this day, but you do anything to get in front of a comic rack when you were a kid. I wasn't lucky enough. Some of you guys talk about getting on your bikes and riding. It would have been like a 7-8 mile ride, and at 8 years old, that's not going to happen. I would have ended up on a milk carton.
But I'm looking forward to next week. See what else we could, what other topics we can talk about.
And signing off, it's bedtime. Yeah. Enjoy, John. Thanks for everyone for stopping in. Anthony,
thank you.
I guess we'll kick some ideas around. Anyone has anything else they want to know, or anyone they'd like to see on here, let us know, and we'll see if we can coerce them into coming on.
See if we get another expert on.
Yeah, we'll have to have a virtual green room maybe. And I do think we need to, well, so far it's not been a problem. We haven't had anyone come in here and that needs to be mediated. Brian Spaceboy used to do it when he was coming on here, but I haven't seen him on in a little while. He's definitely someone, though, that I would reach out to maybe and have him come on and talk about records for a little bit. I know for me, I love talking about vinyl and music, so that might be a fun thing to do. We could have John on talking about the beverage of the week or something like that. At least till Nick gets back, we'll see. As far as we know, Nick is doing well.
Yes.
We do talk a little bit here and there, and he's still thinking about everybody, and obviously he's a dyed-in-the-wool comic collector, so I think it's been good stress relief for him to watch some of our videos and drop videos and just in general still be part of the hobby. So watch his videos, drop him a line, whatever. I'm sure it makes his day when he knows that we're all still out here and we're all waiting for him. So
that's right.
Anyway, everyone have a good night. We'll see y'all next week.
Take care, everyone.